Personal story segment tonight, Killing Jesus. The book arrived in the marketplace today, heralded by a full-page ad in the New York Times. Already I'm getting mail telling me I'm going to hell, which I thought was apparent. Why bother to tell me? Anyway, we anticipate much reaction to the book. With us now, two men who have read Killing Jesus, Fox News contributor Father Jonathan Morris and Pastor Robert Jeffress, a Baptist minister and author of the book, How Can I Know? Answers to Life's 7 Most Important Questions. All right, Pastor, since I'm getting heat from evangelicals, to begin with you. Their basic thesis is, I'm going to hell because I don't proclaim Jesus to be the Messiah in the pages. I don't say it, okay? Yeah. And you say?
People have to understand this is not a theological book, it's a historical book. But what you do and what's going to drive the secularist crazy, Bill, is you let Jesus tell the truth about himself, and you don't sugarcoat the fact that he claimed to be God and that he wasn't just running around telling people to turn the other cheek. The reason he got himself crucified was because he claimed to be God. And that was treasonous to the Romans.
And he was confrontational about it, particularly at the end.
But you let the reader decide. And evangelicals ought to love this book because you don't follow the same secular myth that Jesus was a good guy who never claimed to be God. That's just not historically accurate.
And as far as the secularists are concerned, what we're seeing now is not an attack on Jesus. And there may be. I mean, the anti-Christian forces in America may start that, but they haven't yet. It's snarky stuff like, the book doesn't. It doesn't show you anything. Because they don't want people to read the book. You know, the anti-Christian people don't want people to read Killing Jesus. I think that's quite apparent.
Well, Bill, it's just beginning. What's going to happen is that there are going to be people, mostly academics, who are going to be speaking from basically reiterating a 19th century, late 18th century viewpoint of a reconsideration of the historical Jesus, in which they took out any source that actually believed in Jesus as Messiah and Son of God as not trustworthy, and then began to look at Jesus of Nazareth without any possibility that he was actually who he was. And so you're going to have people writing in very major publications saying, you know what, Bill got it totally wrong. Why? Because he actually believed that Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John were written by either the apostles or people very close to the apostles, people who actually had an experience of Jesus.
I mean, John, for example, was written by the apostle on the island of Patmos. And that's a historic fact. That's documented.
Bill, but 1800 years after the fact, people got very smart and said, actually, these Gospels were not written by anybody who even knew him.
Yeah, but we don't even bother with that because Dugard and I, Martin Dugard, the co-author, unlike the other books, there are footnotes. And everything is apt. You see what we write, where it comes from. Go ahead, Pastor.
Bill, your book fits a bigger narrative you've been telling for a long time, and that is that secularists are out to destroy Christianity because it's the last barrier between them and the secular, unmoral society they want to create. Now, how do you destroy Christianity? You go after the credibility of the founder, Jesus Christ. They have to be careful, though, because Jesus is so well liked. So what they do is it's this insidious attack that, well, Jesus was a good man, but he never claimed to be God. That was something that was added on many years afterwards. You blow that secular myth in two with this book.
And we did it by using Roman history.
Yes.
Because the discourse between Pilate and Jesus was well documented. And Jesus said to Pilate, after Pilate said, "Are you the Son of God?" He goes, "You say it." And saying yes. So that's where we use it. But we never, Pastor, use the word Christ in the book. Did you guys notice that?
We noticed that.
Because Christ connotes Messiah. So Dugard and I we use the Nazarene.
But when I was reading it, quite honestly, I like to argue with you.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know what it is about you.
You're like Stas.
But on or off the air, I like to argue with you.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, I was thinking, guys, how could I get this guy? How can I fight back? And you know, it's not exactly as I would write it, but it's as you would write it.
And Did you learn anything?
I learned a lot.
So you're a Jesus guy.
I happen to be a Jesus guy. You got that.
And you learned a lot.
I learned a lot. There was heavy focus on the Roman element.
Because that comes right in.
Absolutely, and I think that's something new and something different, not something I would have focused on, but something new and different. I learned from that, and you did a good job and a good service to the people of God and to the society.
Good. Did you learn anything, Pastor?
I did, and I want to say something to make my evangelical friends who are watching this program feel great about this book. In the very last chapter, you cite C.S. Lewis in Mere Christianity, and Lewis said, given the fact that Jesus claimed to be God means he was either a liar, a lunatic, or Lord. And after reading Killing Jesus, readers can decide they can accept Christ's claim, they can reject Christ's claim, but no intelligent person can afford to ignore his claims.
And the data is there. I mean, so I got to run. I appreciate you guys reading the book.
Look who you brought together anyway.
I know. This is very balanced. We're trying. And we're trying. All right, guys. Thank you.